Colleagues, Russia has long been fighting at the forefront of the war on terror. We are fighting for justice, happiness, the future of our people and entire civilization. We are familiar with the aggression of international terrorism. Russia first faced it in the mid-90s. And the people of Russia, when the people of Russia were target of terrorist attacks, we remember Budennovsk, Beslan, terrorist attacks in Moscow, Nevsky Express, bombing, terrorist attacks in Domodedovo Airport and in the Moscow metro. Those attacks took away thousands of lives, and we will always remember what happened back then. It took us almost 10 years to defeat terrorists. We basically forced them to leave Russia. We drove them out of our country, but we are still fighting some remaining cells. And still, from time to time, we face terrorism. We had terrorist attacks in Volgograd a couple of years ago. Just recently, a Russian civilian plane was bombed over the Sinai Peninsula. It is impossible to defeat international terrorism alone, especially when borders are open and the world is witnessing mass movements of population from country to country. And in a situation where terrorists receive financial support on a massive scale. We haven't resolved the issue of Afghanistan. The situation in Afghanistan is far from promising, and countries in the Middle East like Iraq, Libya and Syria, who looked actually quite good only recently, are now areas of anarchy posing a threat to the whole world. And we know why that happened. We know who it was who decided to change the regimes in those countries and impose their own rules. So they got us into this mess. They destroyed those states, and then they distanced themselves away from the situation. They are opening the way for terrorists and extremists. Terrorists in Syria pose a special threat. There are many people there from Russia and other CIS countries. They receive money and weapons. They build up their forces, and if they win there in Syria, sooner or later they will come to Russia as well and will continue with their terrorist activities here. We have to be prepared, and we have to defeat and eliminate them before they get here. This is why we made a decision to launch this military operation based on a request from the legitimate government of Syria. Our forces fight in Syria for Russia. They fight for the security of our people, first and foremost. Our army and our air force have demonstrated their efficiency. Russian armed forces are effective, and we will use this experience to further enhance our military capabilities. We are grateful to our engineers, our workers, everybody who works at our defense factories. In fighting terrorism, Russia acted with extreme responsibility. Our decisive action was supported by the people of Russia. Our people understand the total threat that comes from terrorism. Their position is patriotic and moral. I strongly believe that we need to protect our heritage, our culture, our history. We need to learn from the lessons of the past, and we see historic parallels. In the 20th century, when people were not willing to join their forces to fight Nazism, they had to pay in the lives of tens of millions of innocent people for that. Today we face this new barbaric ideology, and we cannot allow these people to achieve their goals. We should set aside all our differences and join our forces in one united anti-terrorist front that would act based on international law and under the United Nations. Every civilized nation today has to make a contribution to defeating terrorism. We don't need declarations. We need specific action. This means there should be no safe havens for terrorists, no double standard, no contact with any terrorist organization, no attempts to play them, to use them to achieve your purposes.